Hello, hello. I am here with a new hairdo. I just chopped it all off yesterday, so I am super short in the back, and I'm excited about my new do and my new shirt. Got to do a little bit of final shopping in Nashville before we hit the road tomorrow. We have been on the road, or we have been in Nashville for the past month. So this is the longest we have been stationary in our travels. So since October of 2016, we have been RVing the States full time, and we came back for a full month this May to visit family and to wrap up some things in Nashville and everything else. Oh yeah, and this is the first time that Sheila, my awesome mom assistant, has seen my hairdo as well. I haven't really shown it to anybody because I just got it done yesterday afternoon. Not only did I do it, but all of my girls have chopped their hair. We are the Bob family now, and Nathan officially has the longest hair in the family. So he's just waiting for when he can shave his head. He's ready to go short as well. So anyway, I'm kind of letting people add into the group. So I'll start officially at 10 o'clock. Just to let you guys know where we're traveling to next. We're in Nashville. We're going to be going just some quick stopovers, and then headed over to St. Louis for a little bit, and then on to another rally. And I'm excited about this rally because I'm going to get the opportunity to speak about the personality snapshots that I do with Mama Says Namaste. So I've got those Mama Says Namaste snapshots, which is based on the DISC personality profile. And what it is I love these assessments because they're super easy, they're quick to do, and you get a lot of great information. It's amazing what all you can get just from answering 24 questions. And it's the basis of what I use for every coaching session that I do. My portrait sessions tend to be the most popular ones that I do, where I actually go through the personality snapshot and I help you to understand how to utilize your strengths, understand what triggers more of a negative reactive behavior, how to communicate with others, and how to really connect as a family. So not only are you able to go on an adventure like what we're talking about in our series on the podcast and in Facebook Lives right now, but you actually enjoy the process and you enjoy being around one another. So I am excited to dig into all of it. And of course, if you want to know more about the personality snapshots, Sheila can do a little post in there. That was a random side note. I have a kiddo coming to bring me a vegan cookie. You can give me one real quick. I will never say no to a vegan cookie. Thank you. Hey, just because you're here, I'm going to show off your quick hairdo because we still have a few minutes before we start. Clara's do as well is super short. Can you turn to the back so they see?
I can't. Okay,
There you go. Yeah.
All right.
There you go. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's an art class that's going on next door, and Clara is a part of the art class. So she is over painting a giraffe that will be on display at the art gallery here in the library. Just yet another opportunity for us to do some unschooling fun whenever we come back to Nashville. Then she works on another art piece that she submits for a contest or has them on display in a gallery or something. And a lot of fun. We have had a blast here during our stretch here. We're actually caravanning with another family that has 4 kids. So when my brother and sister-in-law came this weekend, we had 10 kids under the age of, well, I would say 10. However, Claire was just celebrated her 11th birthday. So 10 kids under the age of 11 that we had in our running all over the property and having a blast. And they had a great time together. And unfortunately, showed the gift that keeps on giving. And we've got quite a few now down for the count with some form of the stomach bug. So as I'm doing this Facebook Live, I actually have my 5-year-old sleeping on a bed right in front of me as I'm kind of monitoring her and not feeling well. So if I end abruptly, you know why. Okay, it is 10 o'clock. The topic that we are getting into is food. When we are looking at traveling, a big aspect of travel is food, especially with kids. I mean, they're bottomless pits, right? They're always hungry, always want to eat something. And it can get really trying. And I know that one of the issues that I dealt with is I would be bad about procrastinating in the morning. I'd kind of get a slow start. I'd hop on and get carried away with doing emails or something else. And on our travels, a lot of times we want to hit, a national park or state park. And so we're needing to rush through and get these, or we're needing to rush and get there. And with my moseying around in the morning and our late start, sometimes we wouldn't leave the house until maybe 11 o'clock or 10:30. And by this point, we've already got kids that are hungry. And so before we've ever walked out the door for an adventure, now we're looking at lunch. Well, okay, so now do we stay and we don't even get out until the afternoon so that we can eat at home, or do we go out to eat? And then it got very trying. So we have learned tricks for how to keep the food going, keep our bellies full, and also really be able to get out there and do adventures. So the first tip is be intentional about your timing. So don't aim for leaving to go out somewhere or to explore something right at a meal time. You're going to end up with cranky, hungry children. So what we aim to do is on days where we want to go out and explore, we want to go on an adventure of some sort. Those are the days that we get up early and we eat and we are ready to rock, ready to go out the door early so that we can go ahead and enjoy the time out there and not just be thinking about food. So so be intentional with your timing as far as when you're going to coordinate going out and about. Now, the next aspect of it is looking at, sorry, I am watching my daughter right now as she's moving around. The next aspect for eating or for food is looking at what you can take with you. Now, I want to first just open your mind to what meals can be. Because a lot of times we have these ideas that we have to have lunch that includes something that's big, something that's, that's the main entree, and then the sides and the appetizers. And we kind of have in our head, programmed what our meals are supposed to be like. We have had many times where, you can go. Okay. We've had many times where we have started, or we have taken food with us, and we take something like a huge container of hummus and a ton of veggies, and that's our lunch. It's just two things. It's super simple. It's easy for us to hike around and to have a little mini cooler, and we've got veggies, we've got hummus, and we may have nuts, and that's our lunch. And that's okay. You're still getting a whole lot in there. If I were to take that same meal and have it with cooked veggies and chickpeas and, bread with the butter paste on it or something, then you would look at that as a full meal. So just because it's something that's quick and easy and it's something like veggies and hummus, it can really stand in as a full meal for your family. So a lot of times the way that we do it is we take our food with us. We pack our meals. And we'll pack things that are easy, that are one dish types of meals. Now, as many of you know, we're 80-20 vegan, so at home everything is strictly vegan. When we go out, we'll change that, and especially if we're coastal, we may get a little bit of seafood, or we may have a cheese pizza with friends. So there are times that we vary from that, but at home we're strictly vegan. So we are looking at lots of fresh foods. We don't have very many processed foods or anything like that. And we've found that nuts and veggies really can go a long way. And just pack in some things like some apples and bananas. So fruits, nuts, and veggies really can fill you up, but it's a shorter amount of time versus a big, heavy meat-filled meal. So we look at having these on hand. We always have a container with nuts, with smoked nuts that Nathan does, that we have just as munchies for in the car. We've got dried fruits always as a staple because those are easy as well. So those are great to take with you. And a lot of times we'll do it where we tailgate and we literally pull up in the back. I posted a picture on the Facebook Live event page of our family sitting in the back of our truck tailgating. This was as we were about to enter, I think, a state park or something like that. But we oftentimes will do that. We have a cooler that stays in our truck and we have that full of food, and we can pull out stuff to, you know, have in there some staples, a loaf of bread and some peanut butter and some jelly, so that you could throw together PB&Js, whatever it is that you can do, and tailgate, so that then your time out isn't always around where to go to get food next. You really can look at just what things you can get or what stuff you can have on hand, so that you eat fast and you shift the focus from food to, all right, let's grab this to eat. Now we're going to go out and we're going to enjoy our time. So if you are bringing your food with you, make sure you've got those staples, those snacks. Look for opportunities to tailgate. Eat on the ground. We've been in areas where even if there were picnic tables, we chose to all just sit on the ground together. Just go outside of the box of what food looks like and where you need to eat it, because there is a big wide world out there, and sometimes we have so much in our heads that it's a sit-down restaurant type of meal that we lose sight of all the other opportunities that are out there. And there's more to life than just eating, and we want to show that to our kids. So we want to give them the fuel to be able to go, but we want them to get out there and run and play. Now, you've got be intentional. You have look at what you can take with you. And number 3 is just looking beyond. Look outside the box for what food looks like, where you eat it. The 3rd tip. The 4th tip then is in relation to going out to eat. Now, this one, boy, we really have found that this has worked very well. We love to go to a restaurant and have 0 food waste. Now, we like to do that, of course, for the environmental impact and everything else, but we also like to do that, first off, we don't even have a refrigerator big enough to fit anything. So whereas we used to cook for leftovers and we would cook so we would have extra for other meals, we can't do that in our lifestyle. We have to play refrigerator Tetris just to fit in all of our fresh veggies that we have. So we knew that we had to kind of change our eating styles and not just have a to-go box or anything like that. So we looked at what we could do to have 0 waste. Well, this helps not just for the 0 waste concept, but also for the finances. So number 1, it is not very common that we do kids meals. What we have found is that eating family style is definitely the way to go. So we will do family style meals where we may order, depending on the hunger level of the children, anywhere from 2 to 4 meals, and that covers the whole family. And that has been a great way for us to save on expenses. I just took the kids, it was just the 4 of us, but we went to First Watch and we got 2 meals for 2 meals, one with a side, pancakes with a side of potatoes, and then another big potato dish that I had. And the whole meal, it cost us $25, and that was with me getting a coffee. And it cost $25, and I fed a family of 4 at that point. And I could have done the same meal even if Nathan had been a part of it, because we were very full. So you can go for cheap. We have easily fed the family for anywhere from $25 to $30 pretty regularly. So the other thing that really, really racks up, and this is something that the kids we've really talked about with, I mean, we'll go to a restaurant and we'll just add up what would be the cost if we got just drinks or just drinks and desserts, because those are the things the kids always ask for. So drinks and desserts, I mean, we added up even at First Watch when we were there. They were asking about that, and so we calculated it up, and it was going to cost us $25 if we had added a drink and a dessert for each kid. So they did the math, they saw that, and they realized, oh wow, getting a drink and dessert costs us the same as what it costs to actually get a filling meal that fills our whole family. So that was a good perspective shift, unschooling lesson for the kids. And it's very rare we order drinks out. I will say we make exceptions for good breweries. When we are at a brewery, Nathan and I do get a beer. But other than that, I mean, even when it comes to cocktails and wine, it's very rare that we get drinks when we are out, because we recognize that at an expense. And so those are the things that if we want to have something that's a treat, we do bring those into our home. It may be that we have special stuff to make some cocktails at home. And for the kids, we have, like Clara just brought in, a little vegan cookie. And she got some great vegan desserts as birthday gifts, because everybody knows she loves sweets, and she loves vegan sweets especially. So we may have a vegan cookie. We went out to eat yesterday and ate at the Cheesecake Factory with my mother, just Clara and I, and we opted for not getting the cheesecake there and coming back to one of these cookies instead, because of there's so many elements of it, because it saved on money. Our bellies were really full at that point anyway. It was overload to add anything extra, and I have to say, this is a heck of a lot healthier than doing a cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory, even though it tastes wonderful. So look for how you can have zero waste. And tip number 5 is skip the drinks and the dessert. Go out and do those at a different time. Those are things where you can even look at how you're eating out. It may be that you go out just for dessert one day, or you go out just for appetizers. And that's the tip number 5 is skip the drinks and just get waters. It's a great habit to get into anyway, and it saves you a ton of money, and it gives you that extra water that you need, especially when you're going out to eat, because when you're eating out, there is so much added salt in there. But then the next tip after that is don't necessarily go out for dinner. When we were in Costa Rica, it was pricey to go out to eat. Costa Rica is not the cheapest Spanish-speaking country to go to at all. And it was a little bit more expensive to go out to eat. And so what we found is Sheila has been sharing a picture of Nathan actually squeezing out a huge vat of beans. So during that time, what we did is we really, we stocked up on a huge container of refried beans that they had at their version of Costco, and we had tortillas and this bean mix, and we would buy in bulk, and then we would just have that as our staple. So we would have tortillas and beans as a go-to meal all the time, and we lived off of that. But the kids loved it so much. What we found is we would go out to dinner. What we would do is we'd feed them before we leave. We would fill them up with their favorite meal, the tortillas with the beans. We would, in veggies and whatever. So we would do that for them, and then we would go out and we would get a nice meal, and they would all split a dessert. So we'd get one dessert for them. Their bellies are already full. This is a special treat. And what happened is, they're super excited. They're great during the meal because they're so focused on this delicious dessert that they get to eat. And it ends up being a really enjoyable time for all of us. So that's another option, is if you are going out to a meal, and especially if you've got kids who may end up, it's a later meal or something like that, feed them in advance and then let them have the treat. Let them have the fancy drink or the dessert, and let it be just that. And those things typically, with the dessert or something, it may be that that's something where it's a bigger portion so that you can split it, like the Cheesecake Factory cake, which is so huge. So I hope those tips have helped. If there are any other tips that you can think of, I would love for you to comment and add them in the thread on some ways that you have been able to save money while you are doing food, and yet still allow for all of your family to be full and ready to move on and enjoy the other parts of family adventure. Now, next week, and let's see, family adventure. Now, the next part of it is just to let you know the podcast this week. Sorry, I'm a bit scattered today because of, especially because I'm double duty with my little girl over here. But the podcast this week, on our Seek Adventure Together series is talking about modes of transportation, and I'm giving tips. Nathan and I give tips on how to travel and how to make the process of traveling, whether it's a road trip or an airplane ride or taking public transit, how to do that with your kids. So it's a great one to watch. And then next week we're diving into when adventures go awry and how to handle when everything kind of breaks down, whether that's your car breaking down or your child melting or you melting. So we talk about that. So that will be the topic of the Facebook Live for next week. We will be talking about when your adventures go awry and when bad things happen, how to navigate it. And I have 3 great tips for you. So post your comments. Feel free to share, post comments on things that can help other people with their tips for food. I'll probably even post in the Facebook groups that question and see what you can share in there. And share with me your stories of what hasn't gone right in your family when you have been on a trip, and possibly how you were able to get out of it or make things better, or what you learned from that process. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next week. Remember, the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.